talk about all the latest updates on what's going on in the Middle East, because now that we have U.S. embassies being attacked and a major escalation of everything that's going on over there, we have this senile old coot over there. I was listening to Biden speak in Israel this morning, and he's asleep. There's nothing that says instability like Joe Biden this morning in Israel. I'll move the camera just a hair, guys. There we go. All right. The show will begin in 2 minutes. But this reaction against our embassies that took place, I'm going to cover that. And, of course, the phones are back up and running perfectly today, which is a good thing. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. You'll love this channel, I promise you. Oh, well. Yeah. Joe Biden's arrived in Tel Aviv. How confident does that make you feel? Oh, yeah. Give me a freaking break. That's like the scariest thing that I could possibly hear, is that Joe Biden's arrived. Okay, 1 minute until showtime. All right, 40 seconds. All right, here we go.
1977. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, yes it is. Welcome everyone. It is Wednesday morning. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio. Welcome one and all. We've got a lot to cover today. I was listening to Biden. He touched down in Israel, and I'm not saying this just because I can't stand Biden. I mean, he's the most corrupt person to ever be president. He's an arms dealer, okay? He takes bribes. He sniffs people's hair. He leaves cocaine around the Situation Room and all that stuff. But he is good friends with Corn Pop, so that should all give us some kind of bizarre feel. So I heard Biden speaking after he touched down in Israel. The guy is asleep. It's like they gave him a sleeping pill. And Biden, I love how the news, President Biden has arrived in Tel Aviv, and this is a meeting to strategize how is this guy going to strategize? Did you see and hear him? I could not even understand what he was saying. He was so asleep and mumbling. And I'll tell you what's scary about that. When presidents and government officials for these state visits travel around like this, the White House doctors give them uppers. So because of the time changes and everything, so they're alert and everything at these different times. So the way that Biden was today, mumbling and asleep in Israel, that's with them energizing him with something. Joe Biden's visit to Israel will do nothing but escalate for a variety of reasons. Number one is the instability that he shows by going over there sound asleep. But I want to talk about this tragedy at the hospital in Gaza, where 500, they're telling us now, are dead. I mean, listen, we don't want any civilian deaths. But everyone knows that Israel did not do this. Is there anyone in this audience who is not 150% confident? I know the greatest of a whole is 100. I don't need that. I don't need to hear from somebody on that. But that's just an exaggeration of the percentage for effect. Is there anyone who's not 150% positive that Israel did not launch a rocket at a hospital filled with wounded and civilians? Are you kidding me? What Israel's, it's one of two things, without question. No matter what your feelings are, you would have to admit it's one of two things. Well, I guess it could be three, right? Yeah, Israel shot down a rocket with the Iron Dome that the terrorists were firing towards civilians in Israel, and it landed on the hospital. The rocket misfired, which is what Israel is saying their investigation determined, and that happened. Or Hamas did it themselves on purpose. It's one of those three options. And one option that it's not is that Israel did it. Why would Israel do such a thing? What would be the gain for Israel in launching a rocket at a hospital? It makes no sense, and it's completely stupid to even suggest. But anti-Semitism is alive and well, and I must tell you, I just don't get it. I don't understand this blaming the Jews for everything. I don't understand this hatred towards Israel. I don't understand this anti-Semitism. I really don't. And I also don't know what this Free Palestine thing means that I'm hearing all over the place. But common sense, regardless of who you are and your position, would tell you that Israel would not do such a thing. You know, Israel, again, is a nuclear power with a very advanced high-tech military. They could have leveled all of Gaza many times over on day one if they chose to. What Israel has shown is restraint. But you know, you look at the international media. I'm going to play a couple pieces here from the international media. The first one is Al Jazeera. So the peaceful Palestinian Muslims, a rocket hits this hospital in Gaza, killing 500, mainly civilians, which is awful. I mean, that's just a tragedy. We don't want to see civilians killed. And what happens? These peaceful people start going after U.S. embassies to the point where we're going to have to evacuate U.S. embassies. Did you see what happened in Beirut? They stormed the U.S. embassy in Beirut. Why would they do that? I know they're brainwashed and they think Israel targets civilians and children and everything. It's the Palestinians, the Hamas, that was targeting civilians and children, babies, women, non-military people. So when this incident happened at the hospital, even if Israel did it, which they did not, but even if, why would they charge U.S. embassies? We are on the verge of a major Middle Eastern conflict. And I got to tell you, I wouldn't be flying right now, not just to the Middle East, but to Europe. Wouldn't do it. I would not do it. So I want to play this clip here. This is from Al Jazeera's English Al Jazeera. They have a reporter live on the ground outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, which is being really attacked. They look, you know what it reminded me of? What I saw at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut? You know what it reminded me of? Benghazi or Tehran in 1979. And we're going to have an incident like that if we don't get a president in there who's awake and isn't concerned about taking bribes to set up his junkie kids and his mob wife and his bum of a family, brother and sister, up with money for the rest of their lives. All Joe Biden sees here is an opportunity to get more money, like he's doing from the 51st state of Ukraine. So let me play this, and then we'll break. This is the English version of Al Jazeera. They've got a reporter outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut as it's being overrun by Muslims.
We're going to cross to Zaina Hodda, who is in Beirut, where protests have been taking place in support of Palestinians. Zaina, if you can hear me, can you just tell me what's unfolding where you are?
Okay, now they have a graphic on the screen. It says, Israel raid kills 500. That's the graphic on the screen. There was no Israel raid.
Yes, I can hear you. We're trying to move away because of tear gas.
Are you in a safe position to talk to us, or shall we cross back to you?
Outside. Yes. Yes, there's chaotic scenes outside the U.S. Embassy.
Now the graphic changes. Protest outside U.S. Embassy, and this is Al Jazeera's English version. The graphic changes now. Protest outside U.S. Embassy in Beirut after Israeli airstrike on a hospital in Gaza. This is really sick stuff.
Beirut, angry protesters, Lebanese as well as Palestinians. They're trying to break through the security barrier outside the U.S. Embassy. Lebanese army as well as security forces are using water cannons, tear gas to disperse the crowd. I'm sorry, it's very difficult to breathe with the smell of tear gas. There's a lot of anger. People are blaming the U.S. administration. Anger is not just toward Israel, but the U.S. as well. They believe it's the unconditional support that the United States gives to Israel that allows it to operate above international law and commit what they call massacres. Many of the people here are Palestinian.
We're going to let you just get to a better, safer place, and we're going to cross back to you in a short while. In the meantime,
those of you in the UK, could you stop educating all these American Israeli haters? They all got British accents, which means they went to school in England or grew up in England. But here we have a U.S. embassy in Beirut that they're trying to take over, like in 1979 in Tehran, or God help us, Benghazi. And where's Biden? I'm here. You can't even understand mumbles. And it's not funny. I'm not making fun of Biden. It's frightening. He's causing more destruction. He's causing more instability. And, well, let's take our break, and then when we get back, we'll continue on that. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? Maybe you do and you don't even know it. Do you have numbness, pain, burning, or tingling in your hands and feet? Muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching. Are you not sleeping? Does it feel like pins and needles in your hands and feet? Maybe you have no feeling.
President Emmanuel Macron said nothing could justify a strike against a hospital or targeting.
Unreal. What's going on here? By the way, you're welcome to call in. The number toll free, 1-888-465-2631. It is pinned in the chat. 888-465-2631. A toll free call. No matter where you are watching. Oh. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm watching this stuff on TV and it's like, it doesn't even seem real. I got one more clip from Al Jazeera when we get back. Got another batch going out of the Mighty Mag Lions today. Order yours. There's a link in the description of the video, or go to mightymagalion.com. These are available exclusively through me at mightymagalion.com. Makes a great Christmas gift, guys. So order yours, mightymagalion.com. All right? You'll love it. I mean, it's very high quality. Look at this. Let's keep them right over here. Little good luck charm. It's kind of like having Trump right next to me. We're coming back shortly. All right, welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. All these conflicts are getting worse and worse by the minute around the world, all a direct result of very specific actions taken by Joe Biden. Now, before we get back to the world burning down, I mean, my goodness, let's talk about the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow, Mike Lindell. You know, Mike Lindell is... I mean, he's in all kinds of trouble. He had to let his lawyers go. They're suing him for billions of dollars. And he had to let his lawyers go because he can't afford to pay them anymore. You've seen the attacks on Mike Lindell's company. Why? Because he stands up for Trump. He's the most vocal MAGA corporate guy out there. And they're doing to Mike Lindell what they're doing to Donald Trump. It's just not in the media as much. They're trying to destroy him and his company. And all Mike Lindell has is just like Trump has us. And Mike Lindell has put together what I'm calling the special specials. If you go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener page, you'll see the special specials. Now, again, you can use our promo code Kane on all of the specials at mypillow.com. But there's some amazing special specials. And this is a new one. Actually, Mike Lindell sent me some new copy, which I'll share some of it with you, on his great deal on the MyPillow towels. The 6-piece sets of MyPillow towels are made with 100% long staple Shapur cotton. And that's combined ring-spun cotton that makes the towels softer and more absorbent than ever. More absorbent than the MyPillow towels have been in the past, that's amazing because I have the original MyPillow towels, and I've never had towels that are so absorbent. These towels will actually get you dry, all right? You can get a 6-piece set for just $29.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. That's $29.98. These make great Christmas gifts, too, all right? And you can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. All right. So obviously, Israel did not attack this hospital. Do we all agree on that? I mean, is there anyone out there that understands that that's what happened? That there's no way that there is a single person in this audience who believes that Israel had anything to do with that hospital attack. So I played that clip from Al Jazeera blaming Israel. My goodness. Their fake news and our fake news, boy, oh boy, they must have all gone to the Columbia School of Journalism. So then Al Jazeera, world leaders have responded. I tell you, Al Jazeera. Listen, this is Al Jazeera, the English version, of course, and they're talking about the world leaders' response to the attack on the hospital.
Have condemned the Israeli strike on the hospital in Gaza. French President Emmanuel Macron said nothing could justify a strike against a hospital. All
right, yeah, you can always trust the French, right? You can always trust the French to go to the Nazis on a dime. They've done it before, they're doing it again. You know, to call this a strike is inaccurate. That's an inaccurate word. A strike would mean that it was a rocket launched by Israel, and this was meant to happen. This was a Hamas rocket. It was a Palestinian rocket. The Israelis say their investigation shows it was a misfire. And this woman here that is on Al Jazeera, she doesn't look Muslim. She's white, and she's another one with an English accent. What has happened to the UK? You know, you can't trust the Brits. They got us in 2 world wars. They, yeah, that's true. They made up, the British intelligence is where the fake Russian dossier came from against Trump. I got some updates on that, by the way, today. The Brits also came out with the lies about WMDs in Iraq. Remember George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Colin Powell and all the rest of the war criminals cited British intelligence as evidence that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You cannot trust the UK. I'm sorry. And all these people on Al Jazeera with their anti-American, anti-Semitic coverage, they all have English accents.
World leaders have condemned the Israeli strike on the hospital in Gaza. French President Emmanuel Macron said nothing could justify a strike against a hospital or targeting civilians. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the strike on the hospital, where women, children and innocent civilians were treated, was the latest example of Israeli attacks that lack the most basic human values. Qatar's foreign ministry called the attack a brutal massacre and a heinous crime against defenceless civilians. The European Council Chief Charles Michel said an attack against civilian infrastructure was not in line with international law. And Saudi Arabia has said it condemned the strongest terms what it called the heinous crime committed by the Israeli occupation forces.
Okay, and it goes on. Why are we giving foreign aid to all of these people? I know Joe Biden's got to get his... Can't we just give Joe Biden his 10% of what it would be and cut off all foreign aid? You know, there's all this talk about the speaker's vote. All these ego exercises between Jim Jordan and Scalise and all these very self-important people running around wanting to be speaker, and I'm going to support this person, I'm going to support that person, I won't do this. You know, we could end up with a Democrat Speaker of the House at this point, and I'm not kidding. It is possible to have a Democrat Speaker with this craziness that's going on with these fake Republican rhino rats, Republicans against Trump. If Jim Jordan or one of these Republicans said, make me Speaker, and we are going to cut off, one, all funding to Iran, this money that's going to Iran, gone. The billions that we're sending to the Palestinians that are killing Jews, that stops today. All foreign aid to Latin America will be stopped immediately until the border is closed and they stop with the caravans, etc., etc. But none of them are doing anything other than vote for me. You know, I'm sorry. These Republicans running for speaker, are any of them representing anything other than an ego exercise so that they can be in charge of the earmarks, the money that they steal for their donors and family members? I'm not seeing anyone talking about wanting to be speaker that's talking about doing a darn thing different than we've had going on for our whole lives in Congress. So I hope we go another day without the speaker. Let this drag on for weeks and weeks. With what's going on right now, for them to be in these petty arguments of nothingness other than ego exercises is disgusting to me. And I hear some of these commentators, oh, the Republicans are looking bad. The Republicans are looking bad. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I haven't heard anyone stand up and say they got a good reason other than their ego to be the Speaker of the House. You know, all these anti-American, like look what's going on in Beirut. All these anti-Americans that are going after our embassies, killing Jews, invading our southern border. We're paying for all of it with foreign aid. We're paying for every penny of this around the world so that Joe Biden and all these crooks in Congress in both houses can get their money from their donors that they owe favors to. That's all this is about. I haven't heard anyone standing up for what's right with what's going on here right now. Now, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. There's much more when we get back. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back after this.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning. From the Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the oldies forecast.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're off to a great start. Another kind of cool start for South Florida. in guarantees. 27 trophy events, including the 200.
Just reading a couple articles here. And total insanity.
You can also play your favorite casino table games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em or 3-card poker with just a $5 minimum 7 days a week. For more information, go to bbkennelclub.com.
Just disgusting.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. I just want to say thank you for Dr. Appleton because I'm from Orlando. It took 3 hours to go down there. It took my 90-year-old mom. My mom walked straighter than she ever walked in her life. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being such a willing vessel to talk about Dr. Appleton.
That's amazing. So you heard me in Orlando talking about Dr. Appleton and drove to South Florida with your mother to see him.
Yeah, my mom is awesome now. Awesome. No more arthritis, no more pills, none of that. She's going back to New York. She sits on the train for 24 hours. And I'm telling you, no pain. She gets off that train, and my sister says she walks like a young woman.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. Online, AppletonChiro.com.
Lee Koss says, are we screwed? Yeah, we're screwed. We got Willie Brown's girlfriend as vice president, and we got this senile old coot that takes bribes as the president. Yeah, we're pretty screwed. Hey, Sarah. Deborah says worse than screwed. No doubt about that.
It's that time of the year again, Florida. That's right. It's Medicare annual enrollment period. This year, why not let United Healthcare guide you through the process to select a Medicare Advantage plan? Whether you choose our easy-to-use online tools or speak with our Medicare plan experts by phone, we can help you find the right United Healthcare plan for your needs and budget. With United Healthcare, you'll feel confident that you're choosing a plan that's right for you. This is Medicare made for Florida. Trusted everywhere. Let us help guide you through our wide range of plans. Call United Healthcare at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. 1-855-MEET-UHC. Or go to UHC.com to see your plan options. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th. So contact United Healthcare today and find your Medicare Advantage plan. Medicare Plan Expert is a licensed insurance sales agent or producer.
Are you exhausted after work with no energy left in the tank to give your family? Are you having a midday crash on a daily basis? Women, are menopause symptoms like hot flashes, anxiety, and depression making your daily life go far more difficult than it should? Men, do you feel like you're aging far beyond what you should? Is your sexual life and relationship suffering because of disappointments in the bed?
That's another one in the 60s this morning, which is cold by South Florida standards, I'm here to tell you. Don't forget, guys, go to mypillow.com, click on the radio section, and what's the price? I want to make sure I get it right. These new 6-piece MyPillow towel sets, $29.98 with my promo code Kane at checkout. $29.98. I'm going to have Kathy order another set at that price. They make great Christmas gifts. We're going to get some for my daughter, I think, for Christmas. All right, we are back 33 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday morning, October 18th. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. You know, I know whoever the president is, half the country blame them for everything. But what's going on with Joe Biden, every single thing that's going wrong in this world is a direct result of him. You know, Donald Trump was the first president since the Second World War not to start a new conflict. That's crazy. They all have started new conflicts, many of them multiple new conflicts. And the donors in the military-industrial complex and the media don't like it. Now, be honest with me here. How many of you have been back to watching Fox News this week and last week and other cable news when you said you'd give it up? Be honest. You don't have to call me about it. You don't have to confess it openly, but just with yourself. Why are you doing that? Why have you gone back to the disgusting Fox News channel and the other cable news? Why have you done that? Because there's a war going on. That's why. That's right. Ratings, television ratings for the cable news are going up and up and up and up because you've probably got your television on anytime you're home, turned on to one of the cable news, probably Fox. We all love Newsmax, but they're low budget and they don't have access to the same type of footage and locations that Fox and others does. Don't be ashamed of that. You got to know what's going on. I'm not attacking you for going back to Fox News to watch this coverage or CNN or MSNBC. See how much money that is? You having that TV screen on, that's ratings for them that they were losing. Cable news was about to go the way of the dodo bird. It was about to go. It was over. When Fox News fired Tucker, that was it. It was the beginning of the end. They were about to become as relevant as newspapers and the evening network news. But now there's a war on, and now the war in Israel in Gaza, and also what's going on at our embassies, and of course you're watching. I've got my TVs back on things that I wasn't planning on watching ever again because I need to know what's going on, and you got to see it. That's big money. That's millions upon millions of dollars for these failing cable news stations. That's why DeSantis is so excited about the next Republican debate of nothingness, because more people are back on the news than were because there's a war going on. Every time Israel launches a rocket or fires a bullet, we've got to replace it. Who replaces it? The military-industrial complex donors of the Congress. Do you know why these Congress people were so pissed off yesterday over not being able to pick a speaker? You know why? The longer it takes for them to get a speaker, the longer it will take for them to pass huge spending for this war. Do any of you believe that Joe Biden wants to end this war? Hell no. Listen to this. There's an article here. Let me pull this up. Give you an example. This is in the Drudge Report, and what was linked in the Drudge Report. The Washington Post. Biden faces physical risks flying to war-torn Middle East. That's right. Biden arrived in Israel, flying into an active war zone where hostilities are high, and the course and breadth of the war between Israel and Hamas remain extraordinarily unpredictable. Israel and Hamas have exchanged fierce rocket fire in aerial strikes since Palestinian gunmen from Hamas stormed through the border October 7th and launched the deadliest terrorist attack in Israel's history. Adding to the risks of Biden's trip is blah, blah, blah. So now, you see how the media? A couple weeks ago, the liberal media were trying to get rid of Biden. Pass him over. Have Gavin Newsom or someone else come in and get the nomination. Now look what's happened. We've got another war front opened up in Israel. We have a two-front war going on with Ukraine. We got Ukraine and Russia, and now this. Mideast war, European war. And now they're portraying in the liberal media Joe Biden as a brave risk-taker president going into a war zone. So any thoughts that any of you had that they were going to pass him over for the nomination, you can give those up now. And I've been telling you guys for 2 years that the one of their strategies is, they have several different strategies. They got a lot of things they're working on, but one of them is is the knowledge that no American president has lost re-election in time of war. So they're going to hype up these wars. They do not want any of them to end because they want them going on, they want them hot, and they want to try to portray Biden not as this sleepy old man who was asleep when he got off the plane and spoke to the press in Israel this morning, but that he's a risk taker who is going into active war zones. He's so brave, and he's so in charge. And they're billing this as a strategy session on how to respond. This isn't a strategy session. This is Joe Biden looking to sell more arms to Israel for the military-industrial complex donors of his. Now, I'm going to give out the number. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all of this. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. I mean, listen to this. You know, poor Netanyahu has to suck up to this sleaze bucket. I mean, you look at Joe Biden and his family. You know, your country's on the verge of collapse, and you got to suck up to this scum bucket. Listen to this. This is in the Jerusalem Post today. U.S. President Joe Biden will pose tough questions in meetings with Israeli leaders. What tough questions? The only question is, what do you need? How can we help? How quickly, do you need it? That's it. U.S. President Joe Biden will pose tough questions in meetings with Israeli leaders during a Middle Eastern trip that was delayed because of that strike yesterday, of course. Flew to Israel to meet Netanyahu to show U.S. support in the aftermath of the attacks of October 7th. Biden had planned to travel to Jordan for meetings with Arab leaders, but that stop was canceled after the hospital strike. See, they call it a strike again. It was not a strike, unless the Palestinians did it on purpose. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson, says an analysis of operational systems indicates a barrage of rockets was fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the hospital at the time it was hit. Intelligence from a few sources that we have in our hands indicates that the Islamic Jihad is responsible. Well, that is the first time, by the way, that I have heard Islamic or Jihad connected to what is going on here. I haven't heard that anywhere except from that Israeli Defense Forces spokesman. Have you? Now, when you look at the situations that we're facing, and when I tell you that each and every one of them is the direct result of actions taken by Joe Biden, that is the truth. Stability is important. And with Joe Biden, you don't have stability. I mean, as bad as he sounds on TV, can you imagine how bad it's got to be worse in person? And what if they get a whiff of the adult diapers that he wears? I'm not making fun. I'm being serious. What kind... You saw how Biden was today. What kind of thought does that send to anyone in the Middle East, other than the United States is checked out and weak, and that their president is so checked out he can't run anything? So America right now really is leaderless. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. We'll come back with your calls. I want to tell you that Medicare open enrollment period is here, and if you are a Medicare recipient, this is the one time of year that you can make changes to your Medicare policy. When Medicare open enrollment is over, you're locked in until next year. That's just the way it is. And you want to call Debbie at I Will Advisors. No matter where you are in the state of Florida, Debbie from I Will Advisors can help you. Her family have been with us here on the Steve Kane Show since 1994, helping our listeners with their Medicare each and every year. And I've been telling you what a great job she did for Steve. He had a $2,000 a month prescription that was not covered by his insurance. He called Debbie. She looked into it. It's covered. It's absolutely amazing. She took care of it. And she'll do the same for you. No matter where you are in Florida, she can help. If you call early, leave a message. They will call you back. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. That's 954-753-8080 for Debbie at I Will Advisors. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hey, this is Gabriel with Florida Cash Home Buyers. We're looking to buy more houses here in South Florida. With no obligation cash offer on your home. If you own a house, condo, or any other type of property and want to sell it quickly with no hassle, call me at 561-570-7070. We've been buying houses since 2011 and helped hundreds of homeowners sell their homes without the hassles and costs of listing with an agent. We're rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau and have over 100 excellent online reviews from our happy sellers. People love working with us, and so will you. Whether you have a damaged fixer-upper home or a beautiful home that doesn't need any repairs, we can buy it. You don't need to clean or fix anything, and there's no commissions or closing costs. If you want to sell your home easily on your terms, call us today for a free offer. 561-570-7070. That's 561-570-7070. 561-570-7070.
Are you living your best life? Are you feeling the way you know you should be? This is John, CFO at Lighthouse Medical Center. Our hormone optimization therapy programs have helped so many people get back to feeling the way they did in their 20s. They're full of energy after a long day, reduced their risk of heart disease, sexual vigor and excitement are great, sleeping the way they should without disturbances, and reducing their symptoms of aging. Our all-natural hormone optimization therapy is precise, easy, and effective from day one. Office visits are usually less than 5 times per year, and the cost is only $150 per month for most patients. Let our medical team get you optimized and living your best life. Our family medical practice has been serving South Florida for over 71 years. Let us show you what personalized medical care and being treated like family feels like. Call us at 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. Center.com to schedule your consultation today.
Get ready for an extraordinary night. Multi-talented Sean Cassidy at Amaturo Theater on November 27th. From his chart-topping hits to his acclaimed TV series like American Gothic, Sean Cassidy has captivated audiences worldwide. Witness his magic on stage, featuring a blend of chart-topping hits and storytelling. Sean Cassidy live November 27th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. Everything homemade, nothing comes out of the can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sandal Road.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right. We are back. I'm Brian. Our number one, 888-GO-KANE-1. The world is at war, courtesy of Joe Biden. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, good morning. This is Melissa, and I'm calling from Palm Beach County, and I'm a Patreon, and I love your show, and I love your
Awesome.
all your stuff. And I'm calling just because I feel powerless over this ridiculous, the lies, the manipulation of this Biden regime, and it's so clear what's going on. And, I believe that in the end, God will prevail. But what's going on is such a joke. I mean, I don't even know how they got Biden off the plane today. It took about 20 minutes. They probably drugged him up and did everything they had to. And God help us.
I mean, the whole idea, Air Force One, one of the purposes of it, although I'm more impressed by Trump Force One, because if you put the two together, Trump Force One's much more impressive. But Air Force One is supposed to be impressive. It's a big old plane, and the president, whoever they are, come down but Biden has to go up and down the luggage, into the luggage compartment in those baby steps because he can't even walk up the regular steps. He's so out of it. I mean, how does that display anything but weakness?
Right, and the thing is also, he wasn't invited there. Netanyahu was told to invite him. He's there to tell them that if they don't give humanitarian aid to Gaza, then they don't get the bumper bombs they need. They don't get what they need. And, you know, it's just, who does he think he is? And God, I can't take him.
Well, he's what we got. Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate it. All right, well, thank you. Yeah, see, we got nice people out there. So, you know, doesn't always seem that way, does it? Oh, man. Yeah, yesterday at the end of the show, it got really weird, didn't it? With especially, remember Andrea's call? Very strange. You know, let me just comment on it before I get back to the issue, since it's on my mind. This call, this bizarre call at the end of yesterday's show with Andrea. And she's, you know, she had been slighted by me in her mind with this call and all this stuff, you know. And I talked to her about some of the issues with some of the callers, right? Since we take calls screenless on this program, that is a very, very double-edged sword. Nobody else does it. Everyone claims to go screenless. That is not true. All the calls are screenless. And we, you know, Mike, our board up, he could answer the phones and everything else. When people call in, you just get put on hold. No one answers the phone. And I've talked about this a lot. We do that for a number of reasons. I think it makes the show more interesting, okay, because we never know what's coming up on the phones. If we have everybody on hold and a line with names and where they're calling from, that gives a lot away about what that caller is going to bring up. And I have no idea what a caller is going to bring up until I say, "What's your name? You're on the air." And then they tell me. Okay, and I have to be quick on my feet. So I think that makes the show more interesting as well as unpredictable. Also, another reason we do it is because when you have a call screener, the person calls in, they get off their chest what they want to say to the person answering the phone, and then when they get on the air, they're repeating themselves. They lose a lot of that energy and passion for whatever they called about. Now, the reason we started doing the calls screenless is because we didn't have a call screener, okay? And I never had a call. I was doing overnights. I did a show. Well, the first time I did it, I did a show Saturday mornings, Friday night, Saturday mornings from 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. That's like deadly times. 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Saturday morning. And the radio station wouldn't pay me to do the show, but they would pay for a board app. So I took the board app pay. So I started, you know, the board app was there to run the board and answer the phone. So I started doing the show screenless. And as I progressed, I kept doing it that way. And I like it. But when the calls are screenless, okay, sometimes people will take advantage of that and call more often than they would be. You know, people that the biggest criticism I get from people on the show, I get a lot of criticism, whatever, you know. Let me see you try this for a couple days. The biggest criticism I get is too many of the same people, right? Well, the reason that is because we're screenless. And sometimes people take advantage of that. Some of the callers we've been talking about this week, and they get in more often. If we had someone screening the calls, some of those people wouldn't get on as often because I'd see their name on the board, I wouldn't take the call or something. You understand what I mean? Or they would say, "No, you called too many times, you can't get on." So, but I think the benefits of going screenless outweigh the negatives of screening. And what typically happens with some of the callers that call too much, I'll tell them on the air, and then they'll persist at it. So then I got to escalate. And sometimes you got to be rude and embarrass people to get them to stop taking advantage, right? And that's just the way it is. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm sorry. You can't, you can't just turn over the show to some guy or girl who just think they should be able to call every day and have their own segment. That's not a radio show. Certainly not one that I would want to listen to. But so that's that about that, and no apologies. You know, you can never apologize to these people. Okay, now, so the speaker nonsense yesterday, and I really hope they don't get a speaker again today. I love it. We're smoking out these rhinos, and it's awesome. But have you heard about Hannity? Now, this is just very, very strange. Hannity spent the weekend personally calling members of Congress and lobbying them to vote for Jordan. He even had one of his producers reaching out to members of Congress to lobby them on their vote. Hannity's efforts, I'm reading this at, where am I reading this from? I read so much news, I lose track. I tweeted this story. This is from Microsoft News, okay? So he spent the weekend calling members of Congress to get them to vote for Jim Jordan. Hannity's effort to personally whip up votes for Jim Jordan highlights the central role that right-wing media has played in the weeks-long drama in Capitol Hill. Now, let me ask you, guys. I mean, personally calling members of Congress, Hannity, and having his producer do that? Do you think the great Rush Limbaugh did that? Do you think Rush spent his weekends lobbying members of Congress to do his bidding? Do you think he had Snerdley? There were multiple Snerdleys over the years. But do you think Rush had Snerdley lobbying members of Congress to pick a speaker? Now, no. I would bet not. Now, I do know that on many occasions, members of Congress and speakers of the houses and presidents over the years would come down to Palm Beach to suck up to Rush to try to be in his favor. But what Rush Limbaugh would do, and I think those of you that remember Rush will remember him doing this, what Rush Limbaugh would do would be to make it known on his program what he thought and how things should play out. And since he was an influential member of the media and probably the most conservative, the most influential among the conservatives in the media, he'd get his way a lot of times. Wasn't personally calling up people. What an ego maniac that is. You know, Hannity calling up members of Congress, that sounds like something Glenn Beck would do. Or Meghan Markle. Remember Meghan Markle was calling up members of Congress last year about something or other? I can't even remember what it was. What an ego exercise to do that. Now, that's not to say there'd be nothing wrong with him going off on his shows and saying, hey, it should be Jim Jordan. And you guys that don't support Jim Jordan, well, you know, you're all up for re-election next year. You better watch out because we're going to be advocating against you. But to be so full of himself that he has and the ones that the producer reached out to, what, they're not important enough to get the phone call from Hannity? What a self-important person he is. And I'll tell you another thing. I don't think that's appropriate, what he did. But it certainly shows that his ego's out of control. And it also shows how little influence he has. Because it didn't happen. He didn't get his way, did he? So he's a weakling with no influence. And I imagine that most of those congressmen that got the calls from Hannity probably thought, who does this guy think he is? You know who he thinks he is? He thinks he's Rush. He thinks he's Trump. And he's neither. He's an embarrassment. Especially after that business I talked about on last week's show about him. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Carlos calling from Margate. Listen, you guys went off the air on 1470 AM.
Well, we're no longer going to be on 1470 AM.
Oh, really?
No, the company sold that radio station, so we're just on FM now. And we picked up a new station in Miami, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to give that out yet because I know they're working on the transmitter. But yeah, we're no longer going to be on 1470. So, well, if you go to our radio station website, all the stations are listed there, trueoldiesfla.com. Yeah. Trueoldiesfla.com, and it has all of our stations listed there that we're on. But they're all FM, all right?
Thank you.
No, I appreciate the call. Gives me the opportunity to promote that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Are you talking to me?
Sounds like you.
Okay, good. I have the radio on, and I'm getting Spanish.
Yeah, this must be the first day, Mike. Is this the first day? We're no longer going to be on AM 1470. So you're going to have to listen. Where are you located?
I'm in Coconut Creek.
Well, you could in Coconut Creek, you should be able to pick us up on 95.3 FM.
95.3.
FM. No, okay. Well, if it doesn't, go to our website, trueoldiesfla.com. It's first day. Yeah. And, that's not me speaking Spanish. I almost didn't graduate college because I couldn't pass Spanish 1101 and 1102. I'm not kidding. My wife tutored me. You know how many times I took Spanish in college? Oh, my. I might have broken the record. Oh, man. Well, it's the first day. Well, that's okay. It's good to miss us. But no, we're still, we added a new FM in Miami that actually goes all the way through the Keys. And we're on the FM now. The FM's a big deal. It's a funny thing. I worked in FM before I worked in AM radio. And I left a big, I was not on the air because I was so young, but I left a big FM station to work at AM 1400, and people thought I was nuts. Well, we're back, baby. All right. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number one, 888-GO-KANE-1. We'll be back right after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIRK HD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Broadcasting from the Robes Studio. Injured recently? Call the Robes Law Group, where winning is a habit. 561-570-5700. 561-570-5700. Robes, winning for you and our community. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the Oldies forecast.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're off to a great start. Another kind of cool start for South Florida standards. We've got the 50s on the Treasure Coast and are in the low 60s and upper 50s in Palm Beach County this morning. Eventually, we're going to see a high about 79 or so. I'm WPBF 25 First Warning Meteorologist Sandra Shaw.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
What's that? It must be the first day. Well, I'll tell you what, it could also be that they turned up the power because we had it down at low power for the last year. That's a 50,000 watt station during the day, and it's been down to like 2,500 watts over the last year, so they may have turned up the power. You know what I mean?
So I was thinking, I didn't see any timetable on the emails and stuff of when it was going to start or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know.
It could be anything, but
yeah.
At least we know now it's not.
Well, at least they're concerned. We're getting calls about it. The worst is you go off a radio station, nobody calls. It's like, oh my gosh, that'd be the worst. That'd be the worst. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the signal for the station in Miami, but I know the work. I'd forgotten. But I haven't heard them promoted, so I don't know if they want us to yet, because I know they were doing some transmitter work. Yeah.
Only because I was trying to just get it to time restraints to get it shorter. And Biden starts talking, he has such a long pause.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna we're not gonna.
Because he's out of it.
Yeah. So it's like the news makes it sound like, oh, he's saying it like that. No,
Mm-hmm.
he's taking it like you said. Like you said in the show here, he's so out of it. I was like, I'm not gonna play it with such long pauses.
No, we're no for people that are, because I saw somebody else asked, we're no longer on the AM station 1470. we picked up a new FM in Miami, and the company sold the AM. And the AM is Spanish now. And I'm assuming today's the first day. I haven't announced it yet, but I'm getting calls for the first time. And, you know, AM radios are not even in a lot of new cars. Teslas don't have AM radios. So that's why it's playing Spanish music today. But I've known about this for months. I just didn't know what the day, I didn't even care to find out what day they were going to switch over. I figured we'd find out. Today's the day. All right, we're coming back.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We're covering everything going on with Israel. We've only just begun. I got a lot to cover today, but let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, Doug. See, like clockwork.
I mean, they're making a living, but man, what a dangerous way to make a living. I don't know why we meet so many people over there, but if I was there, I'd want to get out and come back in home.
Yeah.
Man, you never know what's going to happen, and it looks like it's going to get worse and worse. You know, but this is what we have. You know, I suggest that we get out of those countries. What do we need those countries for?
Well, you know, the whole purpose, you know, I don't know how much we're in them, but we certainly fund them with foreign aid. And the purpose of foreign aid is to have control over the countries. But they never exercise it. You know, here we are giving $6 billion to Iran, which they've probably already gotten it. I mean, they're being very, very cagey about whether or not they sent the money already. We're still giving money to the Palestinians as they wage war on innocent Israelis. And all these Middle Eastern countries that have their people out attacking our embassies yesterday, we're funding their whole economies too. So so we should be cutting off all in Latin America as well. Foreign aid to Latin America should be cut off until the caravans stop, until they take all the illegals back. Foreign aid to the Middle East should be stopped until they get behind Israel and stop these Palestinian murders that are going on against the Jews. You know, but no, the checks are still coming. It's insane.
Especially when we're giving the money and we have no idea what they're doing with it.
No, you can see what they're doing with it. They're killing Jews with the money.
Yeah, we'll find that out now. But you know,
And so far as Ukraine, a few weeks ago, one of the military leaders in Ukraine, his daughter was on a yacht making TikTok videos in Miami and in Los Angeles. So that how do you think she paid for that?
Yeah. Well, how does
our money. Exactly. You know, all this talk about Bankman-Fried in the news. How many millions did Zelensky buy of that? $100 million of that crypto with our money?
Yeah, exactly. $100 million of cryptocurrency that taxpayer dollars. Unbelievable.
That's the one. You must have missed the end of yesterday's show.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you were a topic of discussion.
Oh, I missed it. What happened?
No, I'm not going to repeat it. No, you missed it. That's why you cannot miss a moment of this show. All right, Doug, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Michael in Boca. How you doing?
Hey, Michael.
Hey, I got to tell you, I got a comment and then I got a question. So first of all, thank you because you kind of made me feel better this morning. You know, I do music, so I haven't done a cruise ship since pre-COVID. I was supposed to be going like tomorrow to fly over to Europe and perform. One of the stops was Israel. One stop was Egypt. Of course, they're diverting it all. But I felt so guilty. I canceled it because I knew that this was going to escalate. So you're the first person to make me feel better about canceling.
Oh, you were scaring me. I didn't want you to have canceled a trip like that because of me. You canceled it, and I just made you feel good about the cancellation.
That's it. So here's my question, though. So I've been nervous about this because I just feel like this is kind of a domino effect that's happening that Biden is certainly not going to be able to control. Doesn't it seem to you like with every step that Israel takes, then another country is going to be against Israel, and then it's just going to keep escalating and escalating? Where's next? What do you see? I mean, getting involved in this?
Yes. What's Biden? What is Biden going to do? If the only country that they're already involved, they're behind the whole attack.
True, but I think when it becomes evident that they announce that they're actually involved in it, then don't we have a responsibility to now get involved in it too? I mean, where does it end?
What it ends is, listen, this is what you do. President Trump outlined it. Drill, baby, drill here and bring the price of oil back down to $40 a barrel, and these Middle Eastern countries won't have enough extra money to kill Jews and wage war.
Right? It's always strangled them financially.
Well, that's what, Biden cutting off oil production, which he did in this country, he drove oil from $40 a barrel to $100 a barrel, and that's why Iran and Russia have so much money to wage wars. When oil is $40 a barrel, there's not a lot of profit in the barrel of oil, and they still got to run their countries. They don't have enough extra money for all of this. And if Biden did that today, which he won't do, because, China and the green lunatics. But if he were to do that, that would go a long way in stopping all this conflict. But I don't think he wants to stop it because the military-industrial complex want to sell military gear.
Right, and there was that story that came out yesterday that now they're exposing that he gave $1 billion to Hamas.
Yeah, and they'll be. I'm sure they give regular payments. I don't know how they do the foreign aid. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Brian, listen, we love you and your family. Stay well, and we'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate it. All right, good callers today, by the way. Pretty sharp people. You know what Doug's doing right now? He's going to TrueOldiesFLA.com and listening to yesterday's show to try to find when his name was mentioned. Did you notice I didn't tell him at what point during the show? I did tell him it was in the last hour, but so he'll have to listen to that whole last hour till he hears his name, and I don't know if he'll be happy when he hears it or not. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, our number 1-888-GO-CANE-1. Okay, now listen to this. So, Ilhan Omar, and as I started the last hour by telling you that obviously Israel did not launch a rocket and hit a hospital. Nobody believes that, except anti-Semites. We know that, right? They could hit every hospital. They could hit every building in Gaza and wipe it out. Why would they do that? What would be the purpose of Israel taking out a hospital in Gaza? What would be the point of that? And I got another question to you about that. Why is it when Israel comes out and says 15 babies were beheaded by these monsters that no one believes them, but when these terrorists say Israel blew up a hospital in Gaza, everyone believes it? You know why? Because they're anti-Semites. They hate Jews. That's why. So Ilhan Omar, she tweeted after this Hamas rocket blew up the hospital, Ilhan Omar tweeted this: "Bombing a hospital is among the gravest of war crimes. The Israeli Defense Forces reportedly blowing up one of the few places the injured and wounded can seek medical treatment and shelter during a war is horrific. POTUS," that's Biden, "needs to push for an immediate ceasefire to end this slaughter." Now, Israel hasn't been doing the slaughtering. It's been the Palestinians. But back to this speaker battle. If I just saw Jim Jordan sitting at the table yesterday, just looking around. If one of these Republicans that wanted to be speaker was talking about removing Tlaib and Omar from Congress over their support of these terrorists, well, then I'd be interested. But I haven't heard any of them advocate to do anything like that. Tlaib would not condemn the beheadings of the babies last week. Omar is promoting something that she knows is not true about the hospital. And what am I hearing from our Republicans in Congress about this? Nada. If Jim Jordan became Speaker yesterday, would they be impeaching Biden today? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, I know so. And what happened to these investigations? They still have committees. The committees are still in place, aren't they? Of course they are. I thought Hunter was going to come in and be forced to testify. What happened to that? All right, let's take our first break of the second hour. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. Back after this.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Now you can rediscover paradise with Margaritaville at Sea, the only cruise line offering sailings from the port of Palm Beach to Grand Bahama Island. Relish a cheeseburger in paradise at the open-air burger bar. Relax your senses at the St. Somewhere Spa. Or revitalize the night with live musical performances and refreshing Caribbean breezes. From pickleball to piano bar and everything in between. Come see for yourself why guests are loving the newly refreshed Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. Go to margaritavilleatsea.com to learn more and get a great deal on your next Bahamas cruise.
This is John from Lighthouse Medical Center, CFO and Director of
Very
Neuropathy.
true.
We want to welcome you to Lighthouse Medical Center this year. It's our 75th anniversary, and we've been able to help a lot of patients. We want to be able to help you with your neuropathy issues as well. If you have numbness, burning, pain, tingling, lack of sleep, or balance issues, please come see us and let us help you with that problem. There's hope out there for you. We've had thousands of patients come through Lighthouse Medical Center. Being able to see the quality improved in their life and being able to help them and their family has been a blessing to us and a blessing to them, and we look forward to doing that for the next 75 years. We don't just treat neuropathy at Lighthouse Medical Center. We have a specialized knee pain program with non-surgical solutions for bone-on-bone and knee pain issues. We also treat chronic back pain, ankle, knee, hip, and shoulder pain. Call for a free consultation with us today. 754.
This story I'm reading now.
6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642.
Middleman Eye, your trusted eye practice for cataract surgery. Listen to this Google review.
I just had my cataract surgery, and Dr. Middleman did an outstanding job. I was extremely...
Well, there was nothing bad said about Conservative Doug yesterday.
Focal panoptic lenses he inserted allow me to see more clearly than ever, and no more glasses or contacts.
Middleman Eye, 2 locations in Jupiter Gardens and West Palm Beach. Call 561-500-EYES. Online at...
But I thought Andrea's call was weird yesterday. I thought that call was weird. I thought it was. I'll tell you. I'll say what I was going to say about Andrea when we get back. I'll say it on the air. It was a very bizarre call.
Sarah is 64 and loves to garden. Recently, her health insurance ran out, leaving her worried about more than her feelings. She called the Elder Helpline and spoke with a volunteer Shine counselor about her options. There, she received free, unbiased counseling on health insurance for those on Medicare. For more information,
I like Doug's calls. Doug's calls are good.
963-5337 or go to floridashine.org.
Now back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right. Welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. Before we get back to the issues, and I'll comment about the thing with Doug, too, from yesterday, I want to ask you this. Are you in pain? Well, if you're in pain, that means you haven't taken my advice and gone to see Dr. Philip Appleton, my chiropractor, and talked to him about his laser away pain treatment. His laser away pain treatment works. You hear the listeners in the recorded commercials. You hear me talking about it. If you're in pain, he can help you. And, you know, with the laser away pain treatment, there's no downtime, no drugs, no injections. It's completely painless. And it works on so many different types of pain. He has rid me of pain 5 times from 5 different types of pain, from arthritis to injuries. And it's amazing. The last time I saw him a couple months ago was after my skateboard accident. And my shoulder, I was in so much pain. I don't know how I got through the show. And the way I described the pain on the air that day, I said, I'm going to go see Dr. Appleton today after the show. I'm in so much pain. And it felt like there was like a steak knife stuck into my shoulder, and somebody was cutting the muscles with it in the front of my shoulder. On the side, it felt like I'd been punched by like Mike Tyson, okay? And I was in so much pain. I went to Dr. Appleton, and he, by the way, he does all the treatments himself personally, not an assistant, which is pretty amazing and unusual. I think that's pretty cool. I went for my laser away pain treatment with Dr. Appleton. When I left the office and was walking back to my car, I was feeling better. That was on a Thursday. I went back on Saturday for a follow-up, got a second treatment on Saturday, and that was it, gone. Hasn't returned. It's amazing. And he can do the same for you. Give him a call. Remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. And I'll give you an example of this media, okay? The media want this war to begin, and now to continue in Israel. And I'll say this. We are now, let's see, Saturday, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days ago is when these barbarians attacked the music festival. And you see what we're seeing today. You've seen the videos outside of our embassy in Beirut. The Islamic guys there were trying to overrun our embassy in Beirut. And it's pretty brutal. There's fires and everything else. You've seen that? Look at what we've seen from this hospital. We've seen aerial satellite photos. We've seen planes overhead showing us. We've seen the explosions. We've seen rockets. And everything else we've seen these past days. Here we are, almost 2 weeks since this began. We have seen more footage in the last 3 to 4 hours this morning of war in Israel and Gaza than we've seen. And how long have we been involved in this wag the dog war in Ukraine? Haven't seen anything since the first days of that war. And you don't think Zelensky's panicked about that? If there was explosions and violence and war going on in Ukraine, Zelensky and his propagandists would have it out all over the place, all over the internet and all over television. Because the war in Ukraine, that's old news now. There's a new war. People have a very short attention span, and we're getting live photographs of it all the time, nonstop, and videos, including the attack on our embassy yesterday in Beirut. And the Ukrainians are like Russians. They're propagandists. And for Zelensky not to flood the media with war footage shows you they're in a stalemate and there's not a lot of fighting going on. Or he'd be showing it to us. He's panicked. He's panicked. You know, Biden's trying to hide in Ukraine money and Israeli money that we're sending to Israel to help them right now. I hope, is Jim Jordan going to stop that? I hope so. Or whoever becomes the speaker, but I doubt it. Now listen to this. The $3 million, listen, this is insane. You probably have not even heard this story. The Biden family business received a $3 million transaction from the Chinese Communist Party CEFC energy company as a thank you gift. The Bidens got a $3 million thank you gift from China. This is according to the IRS whistleblower interview of Biden associate Rob Walker. This was just recently released by the House Ways and Means Committee. The payments which landed in Walker's account between 2015 and 17 were in turn divided, the $3 million, divided between 4 Biden family members. Hunter, James is the Biden's scummy brother. Haley, is Haley Hunter's daughter? And an undisclosed Biden. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer said the family members collectively received $1.3 million. So where'd the rest go? Walker is a key, I guess Walker got some of it because, he's got to get his commission. When you're laundering money, you get commissions. Walker is a key Biden family associate, describing himself as someone who generally has been acting as if he's a surrogate for Hunter around the country and abroad pursuing opportunities. So, why did Biden get a $3 million thank you gift from China? What did he do for the $3 million? It could be many things. It could be he gave them Afghanistan. Right? Gave them our base in Afghanistan that had the thickest runways ever constructed, which is very close to the Chinese border and was a spy center against China. He gave them the deposits for the material to make their electric car batteries with. Who knows what it's for? But that's a bribe. That's how they do it. A $3 million thank you gift. And the Chinese aren't stupid, okay? They're very smart people, the Chinese. Oh, you're not supposed to say that. Oh, well, okay. But the Chinese, notice, they don't cover this up. They want there to be documentation of the bribes. If there's no documentation of the bribes, like this $3 million bribe that the Bidens got, they can't use it against them if they don't come through on what they promised for the money. Where is this in the news? And here you have Joe Biden over there in Israel trying to act like he's a world leader. He's over there doing the bidding of someone, and it's not us. That's why in that 60 Minutes interview, he didn't have one thing to say that he was doing for the American people. It was about other people. Because the other countries, well, that's where he gets his bribes from. But this is a $3 million bribe. This article I did tweet. It's on my Twitter. But there's an article in Breitbart. The headline, FBI form, CCP-linked entity sent Biden business $3 million thank you gift. That's the headline. It's in Breitbart. The media, they don't want Biden to go away right now because he's bringing them ratings in the form of war. It's disgusting. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. There's much more to discuss. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Spaces are created. Here's the oldies forecast.
We'll be back shortly, guys. By the way, if you've not done it, order your Mighty Mega Lion. This is the biggest Christmas gift of the year, the hottest. This is like the Beanie Baby of 2023. And these are limited edition, available exclusively through me at MightyMegaLion.com. All right, MightyMegaLion.com. They make great Christmas gifts for yourself, your significant other, your kids, your grandkids. And they're limited edition. And, of course, this is the only Trump-inspired merch where he's wearing the MAGA hat. So it's pretty cool. Got a whole new shipment going out today to people that have bought them. Every day I go home and box up and ship out Mighty MAGA Lions. All right, we're coming back.
6 years.
All right, we are back. It's Wednesday. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Mel from Boca.
Hey, Mel. How you been?
Well, thank God. Well, listen, I'll be quick. It's a known fact that Israel does not bomb mosques. They do not bomb hospitals. They give aid to injured soldiers that are the enemy. And Hamas. It's a known fact that Hamas uses mosques and hospitals to store weapons and to act as a headquarters because they know Israel won't.
Well, and on the other and Mel, even listen. If you're the greatest anti-Semite out there, and that's a tough competition because there's so many coming out of the woodwork, but what would be the gain in Israel launching a rocket at civilians in a hospital? Why would they do something so stupid?
They're very
exactly
conscious in Israel. It would be ridiculous.
I mean, even if you think Jews are terrible people, what would be the gain for them to do that? Is what I mean. And there'd be no gain.
So those are the facts. They're facts on the ground. And if you want to be objective about it, Israel hit it right on the head this morning on your news. It's 1 hour after that terrible accident in the hospital. The people from Hamas saying it was Israel.
Yeah.
You have no way of knowing. There's a whole analysis process that has to go on. That was a knee-jerk.
Well, first off, everyone knows it was not Israel, okay? Everyone knows. Why would Israel do that? You know, Israel is surrounded by Nazis, all the Muslim countries. And all of the Nazi neighbors, and make no mistake about it, they're Nazi neighbors, want nothing more than to have an excuse to run over Israel and take over the whole country and attack the whole country. Israel is very, very smart about that. There's no gain in attacking a hospital. And the Palestinians, they know because they saw the damn rocket, which direction it was going and where it hit.
And the other little known fact is that Israel gave back Gaza for peace. And Hamas destroyed, when they took over fully, they destroyed businesses that were already...
Yeah, and where are the hostages? Where are the hostages? I say Jewish hostages because they're not all Israeli. Where are the hostages they took? How many of them are still alive?
Maybe they're in those hospitals. So
I doubt it.
No way Israel. I doubt it too. But.
All right, Mel. Take care. Mel from Boca. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jersey Mike from West Palm Beach.
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm doing real well. It's a great day, and I want to say a few things about you. I think you're brilliant, even though you do say you came from the Broward School District.
That's true.
That's
true.
And what I like about you most is that you don't let anybody get away with anything, because you know what you're saying is correct, and no matter how they go about trying to put one over on you, you don't let them do it, and I admire that.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Can't wait to shake your hand on that cruise. And the one thing I need to know is the phone numbers rush so fast when they go ahead and say, call so-and-so at Travel Bureau. I can't even have time to... Of course, I'm 77 years.
Which number do you need for the cruise?
Yes.
Okay. Well, everyone on the cruise gets to have dinner with me every night. We have dinner together every night. Let me look it up. Ian... Okay, let me give you... You ready? I'll give you the number. 561 244 5779. That's Ian.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it. By the way, I've been to Curacao and Bonaire. If you're a diver, Bonaire is probably the best place to dive in the eastern part of the island.
Oh, it's cool. Cool. Can't wait.
Yeah. And Curacao, a lot of people don't know this, but you can buy duty-free merchandise there. They won't give it to you on the ship, but when you get off the ship, you go through customs, and you'll pay about half of what you pay for in the United States.
Wow.
And all the factors associated with it.
You know, I don't buy anything on our cruises, and you know, everything is included. And on some of our cruises, I have spent $0. On one cruise, I spent $25, but on most of them, I spend nothing because everything's included. You know, so I that's one of the things I like about cruising. I take money, but the only time I had to come up with money is my daughter and I got scammed by the scooter rental people in Mexico on our first cruise, and I had to buy a whole scooter. Yeah, I know. I own a scooter in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm talking about merchandise in Curacao.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, I look forward to seeing you on the cruise. Take care. Oh man. Yeah, that was awful. And they were going to call the Mexican police on us. I didn't even have enough money. I had to borrow money from my daughter and everything else. And guess what? The scooter cost the exact amount of money that me and my daughter could scrape together in cash right there in Mexico. It was amazing. But it was fun. And you know what? It made the trip more memorable because it's a story that we still tell today. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Plantation. Just let you know, you're off the air.
No, we're not. We're no longer on 1470 AM. You're gonna have to listen to us on the FM.
What number is it?
And Plantation. Now, guys, we're on a whole bunch of FM stations, and if you go to our radio station website, TrueOldiesFLA.com, you can see them all listed there. But try 95.3 FM. That's what I usually listen to when I'm down in Broward. 95.3 FM. But if not, if you have problems, go to our radio station website, TrueOldiesFLA.com, and our other stations are listed there, and you can try them all out. All right. Take care. All right. Yeah, that's nice. I appreciate people calling in. Most people that are on the air do not like when listeners see. This is part of the screenless. If we were screening, they would just ask Mike, and Mike would tell them. But a lot of people, they don't like when people call in and talk about problems. I love it. I think it's great that people care enough to call. The problem is when things like this happen and no one calls. That's when you know you're in trouble, okay? And I love it when people call with problems. And I know people don't like it. And some of my radio friends like, why do you take those calls? Why do you, And I was like, that's great. I've asked some of them, I said, well, do people ever call you when there's problems at your radio station? They said, no, I've never gotten that call. And I was like, well, there you go. That's not a good thing. And then they don't ask anymore. But no, I don't mind when you guys call, even with your personal gripes, that happen maybe too often on the program. I don't mind those either. If you want to watch what goes on in politics, one of the best gauges to watch what's going on is to watch the donors. And listen to this. Republican, and this is another story that's not getting very much press. Republican donors are refusing to give money to Trump rivals because the donors don't believe they can win. Republican mega donors are not backing candidates against Donald Trump any further, and they have resigned themselves to their nightmare, these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, that Trump's going to win. And that is one of the best polls you could ever have. This is better than any of those polls that people talk about. You know, the mega donors, they're investors. They're not so much donors as investors. They want something in exchange for their investment in these candidates. Favors, earmarks, and government expenditures towards them. And if they don't think these guys are going to win and be able to deliver on their donor investment, they're out. And, you know, what's amazing about this story is it's all of them. It's not just, it's DeSantis, it's Scott, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, all of them. In fact, Mike Pence had to use some of his own money this week and donate over $100,000 of his own money, which is like unheard of by these politicians, to his own campaign. And this is an amazing, amazing thing. Now, whenever these mega donors say they're not going to donate to Trump, there's all-day dialogue on television about it. The Koch brothers, which I'm not sure that's how you really pronounce that name based on the spelling, but the proper pronunciation we probably can't say on the air. But the Koch brothers said they weren't going to donate to Trump, and then, how can this be? They donated last time. It's over. It's over. All the mega donors have pulled out of all of these candidates against Trump. Barely a bump in the media. In fact, I read it in the Daily Mail out of the UK. I had to go to England to find out what's going on in American politics. They don't want you to know that because they've got more debates coming up. And they want you to think that these are relevant people still that are running against Trump in the primary so that you'll watch the debate. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. We'll be back right after this.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning, 6 to 9, right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Now you can rediscover paradise with Margaritaville at Sea, the only cruise line offering sailings on the Port of Palm Beach to Grand Island. Relish a cheeseburger in paradise at the open-air burger bar. Relax your senses at the Saint Somewhere Spa. Or revitalize the night with live musical performances and refreshing Caribbean breezes. From pickleball to piano bar and everything in between.
Well, we're halfway through the week, and the new camera and everything's working out pretty good. And I was watching, because we're doing the new camera, I'm going back and watching some of the shows on YouTube, and the audio is a lot better too, don't you guys think? Absolutely. His vice presidential pick is not going to be any of these losers. All the lights are coming on. Somebody's here. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to turn the air down. Be right back.
Private
Now remember, guys, the Beanie Baby of 2023, the Mighty MAGA Lion, available at mightymagalion.com. There's a link in the video description, and these are available exclusively through me at mightymagalion.com. And each Mighty MAGA Lion you receive will be personally handled, packed, and shipped by myself and my wife. We handle every one. And we turned a room into our house into a Mighty MAGA Lion shipping center. Yes. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Don't forget, it is Medicare open enrollment period. The one time of year you can make changes to your Medicare policy. You want to call Debbie at I Will Advisors at 954-753-8080. No matter where you are in the state of Florida, she can help you with your Medicare policy. 954-753-8080. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Barbara in Baltimore.
Hey, Barbara.
Great show this morning, and I'm watching you on my big screen TV. I kind of like it this way instead of the radio. But anyway, I'm very happy that you're talking about donations. These big donors who've stopped sending money to Donald Trump. I heard someone was talking about how much more money Democrats have collected as opposed to the GOP. Well, I have been sending all of my donations directly to Win Red, Donald Trump campaign itself, Donald Trump Jr. has a PAC where you can buy merchandise which goes towards Donald Trump's campaign. The news media seems to be trying to give the impression that Donald Trump is losing donations. He is not losing donations. The GOP may be losing donations. Yeah. Because Ronna McDaniel is not very popular. In fact, I can't stand her, and I do not send money to rhinos.
No, and you know the thing about it is these wannabes running against Trump, since the donors have backed out, I don't understand how they're qualifying for the next debate. They're going to change the rules so that they qualify. They're not raising money anymore, and they've blown through it. I mean, DeSantis is almost done, almost completely out of money. Scott, I was reading 2 days ago, is about to drop out.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, he's a good senator. I like him as a senator.
But that's a big nothing. You vote yay, nay, and then present. That's it. There's not a lot going on there. Very few presidents come from Congress. I know there's some exceptions, but very few come from Congress because most of them come from governors. And the reason that is in Congress, they're a bunch of do-nothings.
Governors are executives, and they know how to run a state so they can run a country.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't impressed with Tim Scott, and I've always wondered what is he there for? You know, is he hoping for a VP spot? And I don't even think he'd be a good VP, quite frankly. But I don't want to berate him. That's just feelings about him. Money for Donald Trump, they're not counting the money that's being sent to all the different PACs. We're sending money to people. I know that Trump supporters are supporting Donald Trump.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. And, you know, the donors dropping out of supporting all of these other candidates, it's not like the donors have gotten together and said, okay, we're going to all support DeSantis or Nikki Haley. They're not giving money to any of them. All the mega donors have pulled out of all the primary opponents. So that's done. It's done at this point. But the media don't want you to know that.
Well, we're not stupid, but I'm glad you mentioned Nikki Haley's name, and I'm sure that this may be something that you'll talk about later on. Nikki Haley was being interviewed and said something about the Gazan.
You know, I saw that yesterday. She called them. Okay, I saw that yesterday. Nikki Haley referred to the Palestinians as Gazians. She said there's Hamas and Gazians, and I've never heard of a Gazian before. Have you?
Never. And she said 50%. She's giving a percentage. 50% of them are terrorists, but 50% of them are civilians. How do you separate the civilians from the terrorists when you got a whole bunch of people, 65% of them voted to support Hamas?
And they're running around telling you half of the people in Gaza don't support Hamas. They're just making that up, okay? But even if that's true, so what? What's the percentage breakdown that support our Congress and our president in this country right now? 50 if they're lucky, and we know it's less than 50. But, so what does that mean? It means only half of them support terrorism and barbarism and rape and murder and pillage of Israel? I mean, what does that mean?
Doesn't matter. Imagine having half of the population that's running around like barbarians. You can't live with that. What she said yesterday shows me how unpresidential she is.
Well, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's another one. His campaign's done. He'll be on the college speaking circuit soon, and he may be traveling around with Charlie Kirk for the next few years, Turning Point things, because the kids like him. But the one thing that Ramaswamy did that was good in his whole pathetic run is expose Nikki Haley as being a spokesperson for the military-industrial complex. And she will forever be labeled that, and she'll never be trusted again. And all of her analysis is about feeding the war machine, because that's what she's paid to do, and that's how she makes her money now.
I believe that. And Ramaswamy kind of did himself in with his soft touch on Hamas. I was very surprised to hear.
Well, he was brought up. He's part of the Soros organization. They are anti-Israel.
Yes. Well, thanks for taking my call, Brian. You have a great weekend.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Barbara. Always a good call. Our number toll free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll free call no matter where you're listening. There's a story today. Twice deported illegal alien charged with murdering 2 men in Tennessee. Have you seen this story? Yep. Kevin Joel Castro Garcia, age 31, was first charged on October 10th for the fatal shooting of a 37-year-old. According to the Nashville Police Department, the body was discovered in the trunk of a car and had been torched. This is the thing. Every time I see one of these stories, and you see lots of them, okay? All of these crimes, like this one here, I know it's buried because there's a lot of international things going on and what's going on in Washington, et cetera, but the headline, twice deported illegal alien charged with murdering 2 men in Tennessee. These murders like this and other crimes that you see by illegal aliens are a direct result of Joe Biden and the Democrats. They're really, if you were handling it properly, you would say that Joe Biden and the Democrats were accessories to these murders that this guy's been charged with. Because the guy should not even be here, okay? And because we have a completely open border, guys like this can just walk back in. Yeah, I know they deported him twice, but since the southern border's open, they just turn around and come right back. And all of these crimes like this that I've heard, and the burning, this is a terrible thing. This burning of the body is something, when you see these stories of murders committed by illegal aliens, quite often you hear about the burning of the body. I was at a Trump rally, the first Trump rally I went to in the first campaign, the one that was in Boca. And they had a mother, before Trump got there, they had a mother who came, and her son was a high school student. He was murdered by an illegal, and they burned his body too. That's a common thing. I don't know. Is it probably to destroy evidence, to destroy DNA? I don't know what it is. But all these are like avoidable crimes that would not happen if they were properly enforcing what's going on at the southern border. And every time you see one of these murders or another crime victim from an illegal alien, you got to blame the Democrats for it, in particular Joe Biden. And they don't have the information in this story on when he was last deported and when he last returned. Okay? But I'm more interested in when he re-entered the country than when he was last deported. They don't tell us that in this story, and I did some searching in some other stories, and none of the stories had that information. I don't know if they didn't occur to them or if they didn't want to share that information, whichever it is. But they don't tell you that. And the way I always look at these stories is very much like that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report, where they had those psychics, they could see crime before it would happen, then they'd go in and had this Bureau of Pre-Crime. Well, shutting down the southern border is very much like a Bureau of Pre-Crime. And it also shows you that Trump was right when he says they're not sending their best. They're sending, people like this. And, the thing about it is, think about it. You come here, you claim you're undocumented, you get a whole new identity. Every time you re-enter the country, no matter what crimes you've done in these other countries, you're almost entered into the United States Witness Protection Program. You get a new name. You whatever name they give you is whatever you tell them it is. You get ID issued by the federal government. You get relocated almost anywhere you want in the United States, at least in the continental United. Are they sending people to Hawaii? I haven't heard of that. Maybe they are. And you get criminals that do this, they relocate, they start all over, and what do? They reoffend, because even with American criminals, that's what happened. How many times you hear a story, a guy will do a 20-year stretch for rape, he gets out, he rapes somebody the next week, sometimes the same person he raped the first time. Happens all the time, So these are just god-awful stories, and every time I hear one, it just makes me sick that this is happening. Now, part of that is because when I was a kid, a friend of mine was murdered here in Florida by 2 illegals. It was a brutal murder, and he was older than me. He'd probably, quite a bit older, but he probably be a grandfather today. But he was killed before he was 21 here in Florida by illegals. And I remember even then, it was in the 80s. I remember people saying to me, I was just a kid, but people were saying, well, when they when they get out of jail, they'll deport them, but they'll come right back. And who knows, probably. And who knows how many more people they killed when they came back. It's a terrible thing. All right, now listen, in the next hour, I'm going to jump into some of the other issues, as well as recap a couple of them, because there's a lot going on here in the news. And we'll also get back to your calls. We've had great calls today on the program, I must say. I don't think we've had one call today that I would not say was a very good call. So thank you for elevating the quality of the calls today. Our number, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And don't forget, if you're in pain, go see Dr. Appleton. His laser wave pain treatment works on so many different types of pain: tennis elbow, tinnitus, strains and sprains, sciatica, herniated disc, bursitis, arthritis, sports injuries, injuries from around the house, skateboard injuries like I've had, muscular contraction, a long list. Stop suffering. Dr. Appleton's my chiropractor. He wants to be yours too. You can find him online at AppletonChiro.com. AppletonChiro.com. Remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. You can also call 954-973-0710. When you call, if you need directions, they'll text the directions to your cell phone, 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. I'm Brian, back right after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIRK HD3.
Good morning,
We're coming back. All right, welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. I was just reading this disgusting article in Breitbart during the break with that weirdo, John Kirby. You know John Kirby, the spokesperson there at the White House? He is a strange, weird dude. But listen to what he said on Air Force One. John Kirby, the White House's National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications. Boy, that's a big title. He told reporters on Air Force One on the way to Israel with the sniffer-in-chief that Joe Biden would have tough questions for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when they meet Wednesday morning. What the hell does that mean? What tough questions? You know what questions you have for? These are the questions you have for Netanyahu if you're the President of the United States. What can I do to help? What do you need? How fast do you need it? What types of weapons do you need? By the way, do you need help evacuating people from Israel? That's it. When they say tough questions, you know, this guy, Kirby, what a beaut he is. You know, to say that you have tough questions for Netanyahu implies that Biden is going to Israel to reprimand Netanyahu, as if Israel did something wrong here. Israel's the victim in this. What's he talking about, tough questions? I got some questions for Biden. Why did China give your family a $3 million thank you gift? What was that about? What were they thanking you for? Now, Ron DeSantis is doing a lot of interviews right now, trying to help him in Iowa. And they're all about Palestinians. Palestinians will never come to Florida. Okay, he's saying the right things. I like that. But there's a lot of problems in Florida, and we don't talk about them a lot. That's mostly what we talk about are national issues. But there's an article in the news today out of the Panhandle that is frightening. You know, and if this happened to my neighborhood, I don't know what I'd do. I hope I would recognize. I'm going to show you this story. There are so many problems going on in Florida. And DeSantis and Walmart Melania, which, by the way, we can call her Walmart Melania now. She gave an interview, Casey DeSantis, and she said she likes that. She considers it a compliment being compared to Melania. She said she likes being called Walmart Melania, and she proudly shops at Walmart. So she doesn't mind. We can call her that. But have you seen this story about the squatters? Listen to this. A Florida neighborhood has been invaded by squatters and homeless people as locals have been left furious over huge piles of trash in open-air bathrooms, which means they're going in the yards. Pensacola, which is in the Florida Panhandle, has seen a huge influx of vagrants that have turned the area dangerous and unhealthy. You know, it's starting to get cold, and the homeless are like the birds. The birds and the homeless come to Florida for the winter. Furious neighbors say they're at a breaking point. They're desperate to leave after witnessing the newcomers relieving themselves publicly for over a year. It's dangerous, it's not healthy, and it's really kind of starting to take its toll on our neighbors and how they feel about letting their kids play out in the yard, says Jessica Allen, a local resident. And you know, DeSantis, whenever he bothers to come to Florida, lives in the Panhandle. Tallahassee's in the Panhandle. You know, that's his area. Some of our neighbors have just all of a sudden, there's a homeless person just in their backyard, leaned up against a wall in their backyard smoking a cigarette. Can you imagine? These are homeowners, not even a rental community. The sheriff's office has been called approximately 70 times to Lejeune Drive, but each time the sheriff informs the property owners that the issue can only be taken up with code enforcement. You mean to tell me that the local sheriff's deputies can't run off vagrants? I know that's not true. I see them do it all the time in Broward and in Palm Beach County. I see them do it all that. You know, we have an ordinance. You can't panhandle it at intersections on main highways. You can do it on side streets. And I see deputies running homeless people off all the time. okay? And I see it in Broward, too. I always have. So that's just not true. They must have a Democrat sheriff there. I don't know. There are currently 2 squatting cases with Pensacola code enforcement on Lejeune Drive. The squatting began when homeowners on the street let people live in their houses. One of those owners has since died. Another has moved to an assisted living facility. Pensacola Councilwoman Jennifer Brahier has said that she's seen the issue herself and has spoken to residents and property managers about their concerns. According to the Pensacola Code Enforcement webpage, the division consists of both civilian personnel and sworn-in law enforcement. And it goes on. You know, this story is this idea when DeSantis runs around the country. He doesn't run around Florida. He runs around Iowa, New Hampshire, and occasionally South Carolina. Okay? All he cares about is trying to either win one of those primaries, or he has some fantasy that he's going to come in a closer second than he's polling right now and have momentum pick up. There are lots of problems in Florida, including this. I've been telling you for quite some time about this, and when he says woke goes to die, what does that mean? You know, I know they had some victories in some school board issues, so I'll give him that, but he lost to Disney. We have a major homeless problem throughout the state of Florida, and not just vagrants that are street people. We have a working homeless like we've never had before because rents are so high. There are people that have regular jobs, and office jobs, hospital jobs, and they're living in nice cars, but they're living in their car. All throughout Florida. You know? And I see the problem, even in my own neighborhood, in my community, I'm noticing more and more cars in front of single houses now. It's like it takes 6 to 10 carloads of people to pay the rent or the mortgage, right? Because prices are so high. And the reason there's so many cars in front of houses is because adult children are moving back home with their parents. And when they move back home with their parents, they have a wife and kids. That's why there's so many cars in the driveways. There's a lot of problems going on in Florida. So when Ron DeSanctimonious flies around all these primary states bragging about the good work he's done in Florida, he's talking about things that were 2 or 3 years ago, not the current problems that we have going on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Rick in Miami. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, Rick. What's up?
Nothing much. I'm just worried about Trump, man.
Why? He's doing great.
I understand that, but they're going to use the law to stop him, Brian. I'm just worried.
Really? All these court cases. Where's he had a victory? Can you tell me where they had a victory against Trump in any of these crooked court cases?
They haven't, but now you got these judges, liberals now, and.
Well, now think about it. We've got how many cases are there? We've got 2. We've got 2 in New York, right? They got this. The Bragg one was Stormy Daniels. We've got the real estate one with the kooky judge and Letitia. So that's 2 in New York. We've got D.C. We got one. The one in Fulton County, Georgia, and then we got the one here with Fannie Willis. Then we got the one here in Florida. That's deranged Jack Smith too. So out of 5 cases, what victory have they gotten out of any of them?
I mean, I'm not worried about all of them, but there's a couple of them, especially the one with Jack Smith. He's a real prick, Brian.
Well, that's one of the words you can't say. But I hit the dump button. I haven't heard that one in a long time. That's usually not one of the words. People, when I have to dump people, that's probably, and I know he didn't mean anything by it, that guy. That's probably, out of the words you're not allowed to say on the radio, that's probably the least offensive, right? And I don't think I've ever dumped that word before. That's one of the words maybe if I haven't dumped it too many times. Usually it's the S word or the F word, not that one. It's kind of I hate to even have to dump that one, but it's one of the words. Whatever. But no, I'll just finish what I was going to say with the caller without asking him questions. Not only have they not had any victories in any of these court cases against President Trump, he's had all the victories. Okay? He's had all the victories. Look at the poll numbers. You know, this story I was talking about after the top of the before the top of the last hour, or was at the top of this one, whichever it was. The mega donors have backed out of all these opponents of his in the primary. That's because he's risen so much in the polls because of these court cases. He's even beating Biden in all of the polls. All right, that's why there's this panic going on. In fact, there's a 6th court case that you don't hear about. Do you know that Trump is suing in the UK about the Steele dossier? That's right. From British intelligence that Hillary Clinton was promoting? That's absolutely correct. So there's a 6th case, and he's going to win that one too. So these court cases have done nothing but help him and put him over the finish line and made him so incredibly popular, more popular than he ever was before. So no, not only have they not won in any of these court cases, it's been counterproductive for them and beneficial to Donald Trump. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our first break of the 3rd hour and be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-K1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hi, it's Brian Craig. Let me ask you this. Are you planning on retiring in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, at any point in your life? Or are you already retired? Listen, economically, it's a mess. With the stock market ups and downs and inflation out of control. In fact, it's the highest inflation rate in 40 years. You need a plan of action for your retirement plans. You need the advice of a retirement expert who can help you protect your money, guarantee your income, and stop losing money. Joe Thomas is president of Retirement Network Advisors, South Florida's premier retirement experts, and has been for over 20 years. He's seen it all and is a true professional that you can trust. They're family owned and operated. His daughter Jenny works with him. You know Joe and Jenny from right here on True Oldies. He's the host of the Jupiter Joe Money Show, and he's been doing that for over a decade. You need Jupiter Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Mention my name, Brian Craig, and receive a free copy of his ebook. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. Take advantage of his free phone consultation too. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999. When it comes to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr.
Man, oh man. Okay. I was going to do that commercial, but I can't now. Let me see. I'll do this one. Don't forget to order your Mighty Maga Lion at mightymagalion.com. And got another big shipment going out today. And everyone that's ordered them, thanks so much, guys, for ordering your Mighty Maga Lions. And I've been hearing from a lot of you that have received yours. This is available exclusively through me at mightymagalion.com. And there's a link in the description of the video as well, but mightymagalion.com. And look, great detail. MAGA on the front, 45 on the side. Great Christmas gift. Absolutely.
We have been in the roofing and construction industry for 40 years. We are originally from Connecticut, where our values and work ethic is second to none. We install all kinds of roofs, from asphalt shingle, clay, and concrete tile, standing metal seam, slate tile, and flat roof systems. We work with homeowners, HOAs, commercial properties, and churches. We are state of Florida licensed roofing and general contractors. At LaPorta Contracting, family is what we are, and roofing and restoration is what we do. We help guide our customers to a successful outcome by constantly informing them every step of the way. At LaPorta Contracting, let our family take care of your family. Call me on my...
Yeah, Dee sent me this picture. This is the Mighty Maga Lion on the front of a motorcycle. Pretty cool, huh? There he is. Absolutely. All right.
On 95.9 FM, The Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Patty from New Jersey. How are you today?
All right, Patty. What's up? Oh, there's the rooster again.
He always goes.
Oh, my goodness. That would drive me nuts. Can't you eat that thing?
No. I love him. I have two of them, and they go back and forth. They scream back and forth.
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, I want to respond to the last caller. There is nothing to worry about with Trump. He has got his finger on the pulse, and he is flying through this stuff. That a good sign is that Biden is getting so desperate that now all of a sudden his campaign has decided to sign on Truth Social. And it's hilarious. They're getting ratioed like crazy.
But Joe Biden's campaign, Joe Biden's official campaign signed up for a Truth Social account, which of course is Trump's social media. And the media is reporting on that, and they're saying that Biden's trolling Trump. No, I don't know what possessed them to do that. That was a stupid thing for the Biden campaign to do.
Yeah, you watch how long that's going to last. I mean, they don't have any decent. There's no decent remarks. And you know what? They're trying to meet the voters where they're at. They're admitting that the majority of the people are on Truth Social and on that side. And you know what? Anybody from the right is going to go on there to see their stuff.
Well, I don't know. I would like to see, it's a win, but I'd like to see Trump back on Twitter. He did that interview with Tucker Carlson on Twitter, and it got almost 300 million views. And I think I think he is missing out on a huge opportunity by not spending a lot of time on Twitter. There's just not enough people on Truth. Yeah, he tweeted once after the interview with Tucker, and that was it.
Yeah. But
oh my goodness, the rooster.
Back to Twitter. I have no doubt he'll come back.
How close is your nearest neighbor?
Oh, we're on a farm.
Oh, okay, because I tell you, there's nothing worse than having a neighbor that has birds. And if you live next to me with a rooster, I'd be hating it.
No, I'm on a farm, so there's nobody around that's
okay.
And and I also have a donkey that like.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, the symbol of the Democrat. All right, good to hear from you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, what's up, Brian?
Hey, Brian. You mentioned Admiral Kirby there. I mean, he is really an admiral in our.
He's a retired admiral. I think he was a one-star admiral, and he retired to become the Pentagon spokesperson because I remember he used to speak from the podium in his admiral's uniform, and then all of a sudden he came out in the suit. And I always thought it was strange that a guy would leave being an admiral to be a press secretary. It was just strange to me.
Yeah, and that was a very prestigious position, but a lot of our military guys, they don't really look like military guys anymore.
Very effeminate.
Well, he doesn't seem overly confident in what he's saying sometimes, and having a good sound grasp of the issues, and he looks sometimes a little awkward, I think, at the podium, But that's a guy who was an admiral in our Navy.
I know, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It is. Because you start looking at him, our Secretary of Defense is over in Israel now. I mean, I don't think he knows anything.
When you look, listen. When you look at our leadership right now, and it's going to do nothing but cause more conflict and war and instability. Lloyd Austin, the Defense Secretary, is dumbest person we've ever had in that job. I remember seeing him in some press conferences early on with Milley, and they would ask questions, and he would look to Milley for the answers. And whenever he gives an interview, he talks about how he tells this story, Austin, about when he went into a restaurant with his men, and they were in plain clothes and they thought somebody else was the general, and he calls that racism, it's just because he doesn't carry himself like a, I've met generals and admirals. Those are scary dudes. I mean, I'm not even in the service and I want to stand at attention, right? Yeah.
Command that attention from people.
And then you've got Blinken, our Secretary of State, who's very girly. It used to be when people were a defense secretary or a secretary of state that they were tough guys. Even Madeleine Albright was like a tough broad, right? Even though she was a liberal jerk, Yeah, Condoleezza Rice, and Colin, and they were scary dudes and dudettes, and they had confidence about them. These are weakling, effeminate doughboys.
I really have to give credit to Tucker for holding up the promotions and stuff because, look who we're getting promoting. This is not good.
Well, the thing about Kirby, and then he says today that Biden has tough questions for Netanyahu. What does that mean? Well, he's going there to. That's not a mistake. That's a very purposeful statement. And what the White House wants is to send a message to the Muslim world that are attacking our embassies in the Middle East right now that Biden is reprimanding the Jews like they did something wrong in Israel. They're the victim.
The optics aren't too good.
If you go to if you go to a rape victim, do you interrogate her with tough questions about how she got raped? I don't think. Come on.
No. Our foreign policy, the people who are handling it in our military are a complete...
And then when, Biden said something when he mumbled, and if you listen to him talking today, he's asleep, he said to this is what's being reported. Biden said to Netanyahu, and these are the words that they say Biden said, on the hospital rocket attack, I know it was the other team. The other team... as if there's legitimacy to them, like that's like their moral equivalent. There's not another team. There's a horde of barbarian terrorists. They're not the other team.
Well, does Biden have any grasp of the situation at all?
Come on, what does he have the grasp of?
Including Lloyd Austin and any of them.
Lloyd Austin, listen. Lloyd Austin is an affirmative action quota. Okay, he got promoted up through the ranks during the era of Obama when they wanted to have more diversity as opposed to experience in the higher echelon of the military, and that's what you get.
How about the guy that's coming up behind him?
Oh, the new Air Force. This guy's worse. You talking about the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Yeah. This guy. I've only heard him speak twice, and both times he was talking about the need to have more diversity with fighter pilots and stuff, right? I think we should just have the best pilots, not worry about their genders or skin color and things like that. But that's his priority. That's where his head is at. You got to understand the people
over there now. Are they having this? The LGBTs can do their poem and recite it for everybody on board the ship.
I wonder what that ceremony is like when they go south of the equator and they do that weird thing for everyone who is their first. Could you imagine what the weirdness on these ships now, what that's like? Hey, listen, I got to run for a break, but thanks for the call. All right, we'll take our bottom of the hour break and be right back.
Making morning radio great again.
Nothing's wrong with birds, but they don't belong in cages. And if you've ever had a neighbor with pet birds, it'll drive you up the freaking wall. They make so much damn noise. I'll be right back, guys. No, we're not on the AM any longer. We picked up a new FM in Miami that goes from Miami through the Florida Keys, and the station sold the AM, and it switched formats to the new with the new owners today. So, and the reason they did that, AM's not even in a lot of new cars anymore, and it's going to be in fewer cars as the years go on. So we are not on the AM any longer. Did you see this story about... I'll just have to tell you on the air.
6 years on.
All right, welcome back. Our number one, 888-GO-CANE-1. Okay, this story here, I saw this story before the show started today, and I've read it a few times during the breaks as the show's gone on, and I just wanted it to sink in before I talked about it. This story, have you heard this story about the text messages and Jim Jordan? This story is something stinks about it, and let me share it with you because I don't know if you've heard it yet. Congressman's wife receives anonymous text messages warning her husband to vote for Jim Jordan, warning him to vote for Jim Jordan, is what the texts say. Listen to this. This is in Mediaite. The wife of Congressman Don Bacon reportedly received anonymous text messages and emails warning her husband to back Jim Jordan's House speakership campaign. This was before the vote yesterday. and they do have screenshots of the text messages. Jim's been nice one-on-one, but his broader team has been playing hardball, said Congressman Bacon in an interview with Politico. Now Bacon's a Republican. What's he doing talking to Politico? The left-wing jerks over there. Bacon is one of 20 Republicans who voted against Jordan for Speaker. He also told Politico that his wife received multiple anonymous emails and texts pressuring him to vote for Jordan. Politico reporter Olivia Beavers shared several screenshots of the text messages sent to Bacon's wife from anonymous senders who refused to identify themselves. And here's one of the texts. Quote, "Why is your husband causing chaos by not supporting Jim Jordan? I thought he was a team player," read one text, to which Bacon's wife responded, "Who is this?" The anonymous sender then warned this, "Your husband will not hold any political office ever again. What a disappointment and failure he is." "He has more courage than you. You won't put your name to your statements," the wife shot back to the text message. In a separate text message, another anonymous sender wrote this, "Talk to your husband. Tell him to step up and be a leader and help the Republican Party get a speaker. There's too much going on in the world for all this going on in the Republican Party. You guys take 5 steps forward and then turn around, take 20 steps backwards. No wonder our party always ends up getting screwed over." The aggressive messages seem to have had the opposite effect on Bacon, who voted for McCarthy. 6 House Republicans voted for McCarthy over Jordan. 7 voted for Scalise, who's dropped out since. According to Beavers, Jordan's vocal GOP defectors during the Speaker's vote, but I don't need to go through all that. Okay. This is total BS. This entire text message story. They're implying that it was sent to the congressman's wife from Jim Jordan's team, right? And, I get hate mail from people. Sometimes physical mail, but things are so tech savvy today. Sometimes it's text message, sometimes it's email. And so I've spent a lot of my time over the years reading through nasty, threatening hate mail from listeners in all different forms. Text, physical mail, emails, DMs, and everything else. And when you get a lot of threatening and negative things like this from anonymous people, you can do a lot of detective work looking into the word usage and the phrases to pick out who it is. And there's 2 things in these text messages that tell me it's not Jim Jordan's people. The first one's a little more mild, and the first text message read this: "Why is your husband causing chaos by not supporting Jim Jordan? I thought he was a team player." If this were one of his people that were an insider with Jim Jordan, why would they say Jim Jordan? Wouldn't they just say Jim? Right? If these are Republican insiders, wouldn't they just say Jim instead of Jim Jordan? One thing that I've learned over the years too is when you're talking about someone you call them by their first name. If it's someone you don't know but they're famous, you say their first and last name. All right? Like, if you know Jim Jordan, you call him Jim. But if you and I are talking about him, we say Jim Jordan. Okay? But that's one tell. It's not one of Jim Jordan's insiders. But that's a more mild one, and that's open for interpretation. The final text, though, I think reveals who's behind it. Listen. And see, I'm going to read this to you. I'm not going to troll for calls and have you help me solve the mystery. But when I read this next text, see if you can pick up. I'll tell you when I'm done reading it. But when I read this next text, which is the final one, and these, by the way, these texts are threatening text. They've broken a line by they're texting the congressman's wife on her private cell phone, who would even have access to such a number. And also, they're saying that he'll never get elected for ever, her husband. So here's the final text. Talk to your husband. Tell him to step up and be a leader and help the Republican Party get a speaker. There's too much going on in the world for all this going on in the Republican Party. You guys take 5 steps forward and then turn and take 20 steps backwards. No wonder our party always ends up getting screwed over. That was the final text. Who do you think wrote that? I'll tell you what, it wasn't Jim Jordan. It wasn't Jim Jordan's people. And it wasn't a Republican. It's a Democrat. These text messages came from a Democrat. And when I go through this, you'll see. It goes in this last text. It says, talk to your husband, tell him to be a leader, help the Republican Party get a speaker. There's too much going on in the world for all this going on in the Republican Party. You guys take 5 steps forward and then turn around and take 20 steps backwards. What do you mean, you guys? I thought this was Jim Jordan's people. If these are Jim Jordan's people that are sending these text messages to the wife, it wouldn't be you guys. It would say we, because you're a Republican. You would say we take 5 steps forward and then 20 steps backwards. It doesn't say that, you guys, which means whoever sent this text to the wife is not a Republican. They're a Democrat. Okay? Now, I cannot be the only person that has figured this out. Because this story, I saw this story, it's mainly in Mediaite this morning, but I know everyone has seen it, and I have seen it in other sources, and I was reading over them, and I was waiting for some updates as the show went on. I didn't want to lead with it, and I was hoping there were some updates, and there have been no updates that change anything with that. So there's no doubt in my mind the Democrats did this. And, you know, they're trying to portray, if you look in the news articles today, they're trying to portray Jim Jordan as a J6er. So a threatening series of text messages to this guy's wife would kind of fit into that narrative. And for the life of me, I don't know why this story is even public. While they may have been anonymous text, this is the wife of a sitting United States congressman. The Capitol Police have the ability to go into that phone and do some investigative work and find out who really sent those texts. Or at least find out the IP address that they came from. And they're not doing any of that. So my little bit of detective work would tell me this is not Jim Jordan's people, not because of the context, and I know Jim Jordan wouldn't do something so stupid, but because of the phrases used, it doesn't even sound like a Republican. It's got to be a Democrat. Why would they say, you guys? It would be we. See, they screw up. That's what happens with liars. All right, you're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back after this.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The
All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking?
Metals looking very good, Brian. The markets, after digesting over $100 in gains from the last week, we've seen very little pullback. We had a little bit of a correction one day, and everybody ran in and bought that correction. And it's a market now that you just got to buy wherever you see a little correction, because this market is seemingly poised to go much higher. The market yesterday closing up $2.80 on gold at $1,922.50. Silver gaining 21 cents, closing at $22.78. Platinum gaining $3 at $897. And palladium still in a downtrend, down $8 yesterday at $1,121. This morning, overnight, we've seen gold trade in a range of $1,922 all the way up to $1,951. And right now, gold's at $1,945. That's up $22.50. Silver up 42 cents at $23.20 the ounce. Platinum up $3 at $900, and palladium down $7 at $1,114. So the markets continue to rally, pushing towards those all-time highs.
Yeah. So when it absolutely. So when it comes to gold and silver today, what are the buy recommendations?
Absolutely, gold and silver.
Yeah.
Platinum may be gaining back its role as the metal of choice in catalytic converters and other industrial uses that palladium thought it was going to take over. Palladium, as you know, ran way up thousands of dollars. That historically was always much cheaper than platinum. Now we're seeing it in a downtrend, and I think platinum probably is still a great buy. If palladium gets below platinum's price, it certainly might be a good buy also, though. So right now, our gold and silver, you have to buy the gold and silver. Those are the metals that are looking at the political, economic situations that are going on in the world, and those are the ones that are going to do the best.
That's right. That's right. Now, listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. Online at williamyoungerman.com, or give him a call toll free. And remember, no matter where you are located, you can do business with William Youngerman. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And I want to mention, I know a lot of people are doing traveling. Some friends of mine that are going traveling abroad, they were telling me yesterday. You have a currency exchange. Can you tell people about that, William Youngerman?
Indeed. We have a foreign currency exchange that trades in over 60 different currencies, cash currencies available, and many of them in stock. You just walk in and walk out with them cash for cash. We have, of course, euros and British pounds and all of those in stock.
Yeah, and when I come into your store, I'm always running into people that are there for the currency exchange. It's very popular over there. All right, so we'll talk tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, William Youngerman. We'll be right back.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, it's our final segment for today. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. I'm gonna end where we began with an attack on a U.S. embassy and pretty scary stuff. But before I do, I just want to tell you about this great offer that financial advisor Joe Thomas is offering. You know, you see what's going on in the world. If you are retired or you're planning on retiring at some point in your life, it could be tomorrow, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, you need an expert that you can trust. And, you know, you can't do it on your own. You do it on your own. You cannot factor in for the things that you're seeing, the inflation, the conflict, the changes in the economy. You need a plan of action for your retirement, and that's what you're going to get from Joe Thomas, president of Retirement Network Advisors of South Florida. And they are South Florida's premier retirement experts and have been for over 20 years. Family owned and operated. He works with his daughter, Jenny, and they host their show, the Jupiter Joe Money Show, right here on True Oldies, and they've been doing that for over 10 years. And Joe Thomas has two offers for you. One, he's offering his book, The Retirement Know-It-All, for free. And I read this book a couple weeks ago. It's an easy read, and it's filled with tons of actionable advice for people that are planning on retiring at some point in their life, even if it's next week, or those of you that are already retired. But he's also offering, Joe Thomas, something pretty incredible, and that's a free phone consultation. So you can get the book for free. Just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com, and click on the book link, jupiterjoe.com, or call, and when you call, you can ask for the free book, and also you can schedule that free phone consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. For Joe Thomas, take advantage of that free consultation. Pretty good offer. All right, so I want to, as I say, I began with this and I want to end with it. What happened at our U.S. Embassy in Beirut was frightening. I was watching this morning some of the footage on Al Jazeera because they're there. I mean, that's their backyard. Beirut. You know, Fox News and our people, they're not as connected in Beirut. And I saw what was going on outside of our embassy. They were attempting to break in and overrun our embassy in Beirut. And it was in direct response to that Hamas rocket that hit the hospital. And by the way, the updated reporting I'm seeing on that is this rocket did not hit the hospital, that it hit a parking lot. So, and I understand when there's a rocket and there's an explosion, things happen. But were there 500 people in that parking lot? Are we sure it was 500 people? I mean, that seems like a lot of people for a parking lot, and I've seen some of the footage. I hope it was no one. I mean, I don't want to see any civilian loss of life. I don't want to see any loss of life. I mean, but the story seems to be changing. But our embassies were attacked yesterday by Muslims of different nationalities, blaming us for the rocket attack. And the embassy in Beirut looked like when they were trying to overrun the Iranian our Turanian embassy, or Iranian embassy in Tehran in 1979. And that was pretty frightening. I was a little kid and I remember it. It also reminded me of Benghazi, when Benghazi was overrun. And this is frightening, what happened in Beirut. So now they're coming after us. And you're seeing that they're blaming us for everything, just like they blame Israel for everything. And I played a bit of audio that I'm going to, at the top of the show at 6, that I want to play now for you. This is from the English version of Al Jazeera that I was watching. And I don't make it a habit of watching Al Jazeera, but I was looking online this morning to get good footage of the embassy attack the attack on the U.S. embassy in Beirut. And Al Jazeera, they report closer than anyone else because these are their friends that are attacking the embassy. The other reporters that are in Beirut are like across town. They're like and they're wearing helmets and bulletproof vests and everything. This lady reporter, she's wearing none of that. She's like fearless because what does she have to fear? These are her friends. They're attacking the U.S. embassy. So let me play this a little bit. This is Al Jazeera live in front of the U.S. embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, as it's being attacked by the Muslims.
Live for us in southern Gaza. We're going to cross to Zaina Hodda, who is in Beirut, where protests have been taking place in support.
Okay, now the graphic on the screen, I want to remind you, reads, this is the graphic on Al Jazeera as they're covering this. Israel raid kills 500. Israel raid? First off, there was no raid. There was no attack. Israel did nothing there. We now know that it was a Hamas rocket that malfunctioned. And so far as the 500, is it confirmed that it's 500, or is that just some number that they've made up?
Cross to Zaina Hodda, who is in Beirut, where protests have been taking place in support of Palestinians. Zaina, if you can hear me, can you just tell me what's unfolding where you are?
Yes, I can hear you. We're trying to move away because of tears.
Okay, now this reporter for Al Jazeera, it's amazing. I tweeted this, by the way. If you follow me on Twitter, you can find the video of this, Brian Craig Show on the Twitter. This is insane. I'm watching all these reporters on American television. They're dressed like army soldiers, and they all look terrified. This woman has nothing on her head, and she's wearing a blouse. She's like totally fearless.
Zaina, if you can hear me, can you just tell me what's unfolding where you are?
Yes, I can hear you. We're trying to move away because of tear gas.
Are you in a safe position to talk to us, or shall we cross back to you?
Outside. Yes. Yes, there's chaotic scenes outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut.
Okay, now then they changed the graphic on the screen, and it reads, protest outside U.S. Embassy in Beirut after Israeli airstrike on a hospital in Gaza. Now, there was no Israeli airstrike, and that rocket hit a parking lot. And this is not a protest outside the U.S. Embassy. They're trying to tear down the barricades outside the U.S. Embassy.
I can hear you. We're trying to move away because of tear gas.
Are you in a safe position to talk to us, or shall we cross back to you?
What do you mean, is she safe? What about the Americans from the diplomatic corps inside the embassy? Are they safe?
Yes. Yes, there's chaotic scenes outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut. Angry protesters, Lebanese as well as Palestinians. They're trying to break through the security barrier outside the U.S. Embassy.
There you go, boom. Even Al Jazeera, they're trying to break through the security barrier. And Biden has the nerve to go to say before he lands in Israel that he's going to ask tough questions of Netanyahu. What about asking tough questions of the Palestinians, of the Muslims This is an attack. A U.S. embassy has been attacked. If they're trying to tear down the barricades, that's an attack. And the Islamists have a history of similar attacks on embassies, and they usually do it in multiple waves. When Benghazi was attacked, it was multiple waves before they got in and killed everybody. In Iran, it was going on for quite some time and escalated, and the embassy areas become a focal point of protest. Okay? So this is what happened in Beirut is just the first of many waves that are going to take place. I don't know why they're blaming us for any of this, but they are.
Outside the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, angry protesters, Lebanese as well as Palestinians, they're trying to break through the security barrier outside the U.S. Embassy. Lebanese army as well as security forces are using water cannons, tear gas to disperse the crowd. I'm sorry, it's very difficult to breathe with the smell of tear gas. There's a lot of anger. People are blaming the U.S. administration. Anger is not just toward Israel, but the U.S. as well. They believe it's the unconditional support that the United States gives to Israel that allows it to operate above international law and commit what they call massacres. Many of the people here are Palestinian.
We're going to let you just get to a better, safer place.
Oh yeah, better, safer place. There's no place safer for this lady. She's surrounded by all her friends that love Al Jazeera that are waving to their friends at home watching on Al Jazeera. Are you kidding me? This woman's got nothing to worry about. And so far as blaming us for giving them unconditional support for their war crime, what did she say? What has Israel done here? Right? Israel's the one that was attacked. Israel's the one that had their civilians murdered and kidnapped. And they have not returned one of the hostages. Now, one of the hostages has been returned, in fact, and it's not even, it's really almost as if the hostages have been written off as acceptable losses. We did get that hostage video from the one girl yesterday. I did see the video in its entirety yesterday. It was textbook prisoner of war propaganda video that I saw from that girl yesterday. I won't watch it again, okay? And I don't hear any concern for the Israeli hostages. And they keep calling Israel criminals when they're the ones that have taken hostages. We're in a whole new place so far as stability in the world. And the entire Middle East is about to blow. And that's not good. Especially with this guy in the White House. This is not good. And you can see a major escalation taking place. And while Biden is reprimanding Netanyahu for some strange reason, this is taking place. He shouldn't be reprimanding him. He needs to be reprimanding the bad guys that have attacked our embassy. And it's going to be more embassies as this goes on. And this always goes back to what we say when these attacks on Israel happen. You don't hear. This is why I go to Al Jazeera. The American media, even though they seem to be pro-Israel, do a lot of covering up here. But they blame the United States for everything they blame Israel for. They call Israel Little Satan and the United States Big Satan. And if you watch the foreign press, thankfully they put it in English so I can read it. And hear it. You'll see that we get the equal blame in the international press that they give to Israel, these anti-Semites. It's not just anti-Semitism, it's anti-Americanism as well. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Great calls today. We heard from some pretty smart people that have interesting perspectives on things on the program this morning. Thank you all who participated. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio this year. If you miss a part of the show, you can always go to our radio station website, TrueOldiesFLA.com. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump. See you tomorrow.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar. WIRK.
Yes. That's the new station, 104.3 in Miami. Remember, you're on camera. Okay. Oh, yeah. There's the rocket. They got the picture. Yeah.
The rocket's coming up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I'll give you. Got the light over me on the desk. And then I have the camera on this clip, that black clip. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Take care. Oh, it won't let me stop. That's not. That happens sometimes. Oh, well. Hey, guys. It wouldn't let me shut down the feed when I was in the studio. Now I'm outside. Thanks to everyone for watching. I'm just getting to the car. After being in the studio for 3.5 hours, I'm like ready to get out. There we go. Bringing the Mighty Magaline. I never leave the Mighty Magaline in the studio because I don't want someone to take them. So I bring them every day. But it's a nice day in Florida, as you can see. It's a really nice day out with palm trees behind us. And they're not all palm trees, but there's some palm trees. Oh, man. Well, guys, hey, listen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.